Good morning to AAA Battle Reports. This is going to be our third battle report, and it's not against Tommy Tucker or Soaring Nature. It's against Dwarven Holds, so a bit of a grudge match here in old style fluff. It's down at the Frame Wargaming Club, and against a guy called Terry, who's been playing quite a while, but he's got a fantastically painted Dwarven Hold army, and some of my pictures don't give it justice, but if you go to TEC, you'll definitely see it there. We rolled off for map 1 just to keep things really simple, as you can see down there, and deployment was Dawn Assault again, so one where your flank is refused. Neither has decided to, sorry, I didn't decide to ambush, but Terry did, with, as you'll see with his list. My secondary objective was a secure target, so 2 pennies. And I think we both looked at this and went, he's not very manoeuvrable, but has got big blocky units. And I am very manoeuvrable, and I think they were just going to be placed as far away as possible. But equally, he could redeploy with his ambushers. So, going into the lists. So, my list, the only change from last time really is going back to a Druidism Master with the Dragon. It does suit this list better, and I think this is building up to TEC, and it's probably what I will take. You can see in my first battle report my thoughts on it, but effectively I think it's just quite a combaty list with some shooting elements, but it's just mainly more pushed to a mixed arm list. I really like the combination of a Druidism Master with Blade Dancers and Dryads, and I'm having a look at a bigger Wild Huntsman unit, because I just think with a few more numbers it only takes a couple of attributes to raise a few models, and suddenly that unit's still kicking out a hell of a lot of attacks. But it is starting to break the 500 point barrier, which I really didn't want to do. So we'll go for it's something I'm going to have a look at. In terms of Terry's list, this was sort of a combination of some sort of MSU, but with some block units, because he didn't have lots of points spent in a couple of great big characters. Like, we didn't have the classic King build that would just murder my Avatar of Nature or anything, but we did have a big unit of Clan Marksman with shield, crossbow, and great weapon. It's a good thought. There's lots of monsters out there, so he can just stand and he can stand, shoot, and then also his standard there means you get -2 to your advance roll on the charge, so that's quite important, especially if some of my slower infantry units. He's then got the Clan Warriors with a spear and shield. They're a really tough unit, and then the Runic Standard Wisdom. He chooses generally, I think, -1 to wound. It's quite a good thing, especially in Sylvan Elves. His 2 smaller units of King's Guard just for counter charges, and they just pump out so many attacks at strength 6. It's just not, you do not want to be charged by them. Unless you're sure you're going to wipe most of them out, because even if 5 are left, they're pumping out 10 strength 6 attacks. It's just not pleasant. He's then got 2 units of 8 rangers. I really like these units because they're hitting on 3+ with crossbow. So like, can you imagine if you took 2 big units of this, take away the Crag Warden, and just took it's just an absolute nightmare, because you don't need to necessarily scout them, and they're just very high impact with lots of armor as well. I just don't think some of the Sylvan Elves could take, some of our lists could take them on. He's got 2 miners, so these are the 2 units he ambushed. And this is a question generally. We discussed this. He's been told that on Dawn Assault, because he's got 2 units he naturally ambushes anyway, he can't have any more. I was happy to play either way. I don't know the rules, so I'd be very interested if someone can help with that in the comments. And then he's got 2 steam copters with shrapnel grades, so these are smaller ones, but I had to keep them away, similar with the Pterodons in the last battle. But these are just going to be quite annoying to tie down, but my army is quite maneuverable, and I have got some shooting to deal with them. And then, this is the scare of it, 2 flame cannons. 2. I can't go near his army if they're until I really dealt with them. I have to. So I really didn't know what to do with these 2. I hadn't got a game plan. I was going to see how he deployed. Do I rush them, offering lose so many targets, or do I stand back and just hope my shooting can take them off? But that could mean 3 turns of him marching forward, me not doing anything. I mean, there's such threat. And then 4 bolt throwers. I have a dragon. I wasn't too bothered about the Avatar, but the dragon, that's potentially gone in one go. So yeah, interesting. Now looking at magic, I took Oaken Throne, Healing Waters. Even with the Flaming Cannons, I thought as soon as the Flaming Cannons are gone, that could be quite useful. Summer Growth, because I reckoned Flaming Cannons are going to hit at some point. Stone Skin, because that just makes me tough, and I think it's good. Auto Spot, and Spirits of the Wood. Spirits of the Wood was there because I could eventually force him to stop that because I hit harder, and then I get something like Stone Skin and Healing Water through because then I can stop Steadfast on his units, especially his big ones, because I don't want to get stuck on them, especially with someone like Wild Huntsman. Then Briar Miners, I took Break the Spirit just to slow down, because if I had to spend 2 or 3 turns taking out those Flaming Cannons, it means Break the Spirit can slow down his big blocks to 3 inches of movement, and that just means I can absolutely go for him. And then Forest Embrace, just to have that wood spell in case I was out. On his magic, he's got minus wound, he's got a Runesmith with 2 spells, Amber Power with 3, and a Banner of Wisdom that's just on the Dwarven Warriors unit. So he took 3 instances of minus 1 to wound, which I think was really clever, because one, they stack, and most of my army is strength 4, or with 1 unit strength 5, and only the 2 monsters strength 6 and above. It just means that even against my Blade Dancers, he gets 1 of them off, I'm winning on 5s. He gets 2 of them off, I'm winning on 6s, and it just emphasizes his power. Rune Evocation is also very strong, and just yeah. I wasn't too bothered about the minus 1 to hit, so I hit so high against dwarfs with most of my army. It's just not, maybe I'll go down to 4s, but likely 3s at worst. So it wasn't something I was too concerned about. The Rune of Revocation was going to be really annoying with the Oaken Throne because he puts it on it, and then how I do that. And because I hadn't taken Master of Earth on my Briar Main champion, I couldn't use that model to get Oaken Throne off before trying to cast some other spells. So I'd have to cast a spell just to get rid of it. So I like that. Something to also note, he has the Rune of Devouring. I didn't know which spell he'd want to devour, but it just meant that there were certain ones I didn't want to do before in case I really wanted it. And I decided the big one was going to be either Spirits of the Wood or Stone Skin, because equally he hasn't got, Healing Waters or Spirits of the Wood. I thought something like that. I was completely wrong, as it turns out. So, deployment. Right, so he chose. So he chose top right here, just for this, and this is because he didn't want to go into the ruins a bit and have it stuck there. I was quite surprised at that because one, it gave me an impassable here and a hill here, but equally, I thought he would choose this side because he's got some very natural killing grounds here that I would just have to advance into with very little cover. Now because he's advanced on this side, I've got that impassable and the hill there that I can just sort of sit behind. He's also given me the water on this side. That means with Druidism, I can split my mage with Healing Waters elsewhere. I decided to put my forest on this side because I was going to use the treating, and I was going to get it over there. And it just means that my army is quite tough. So the plan was the 2 Dryads over on this side, and they were going to go and secure that target. Blade Dancers over here just to watch the centre and zone in this area until this forest had moved over, and then they were going to come over and sit over here, being able to get the 4+ fortitude, and then have the support maybe from the Briar Maidens and the Tree Father. I put these 2 in the centre, and this was so they could go after either go up and chaff and block the flame cannon because it wasn't large, or because I deployed first, because I wanted to go first, and then the scouts behind. I just had them in the centre so that I could push up and go after at least one of his flame cannons because I really need to stop that. The Druid is behind here because I need to either push as far forward as possible on this flank to support whatever I want to go after this objective, or sit back and cover. And I've got the Dryads and the Wild Huntsman, and this is so I can push. He then put his army down, and he has the 2. So first he put the King's Guard there. He's got 2 scouting units with the Crag Wardens there, but he puts them down later, and he's got the 2 miners on ambushing. He then puts flame cannon, 2 flame cannons there, just to basically give good arcs. They're as far forward as possible, and he knows I'm probably going to come to him in some capacity. He's then lined all the way on his back with his 4 4 bolt throws, and then he's got his anvil and power over here. So it's far enough away, but equally he's decided he's going to push on this flank. So that's where the side he wants to be, just to maximise magic. And then he's got his clan warriors with crossbows and great weapons, a key unit of King's Guard with most of his characters, and then he's got his BSB in his, and Runic Smith in his clan warriors with spears. And that's just giving him an extra AP as well. And he's got 2 copters here, and I'm guessing at this time he was using them, thinking about using them as chaff. But as I was gonna, so as I looked at this, I realised he's pushing on this side with his big blocks, while just going to secure on this side with the King's Guard and stuff. So, but he has sort of left this gap here. This is not going to cover this side. So this is the target at the most. So my plan changed to all of this for get forward as far as possible, kill that. This is going to go forward, and I was going to take a bit of risk here with all the bolt throws. I was going to have to suffer a few turns of shooting just with that in. And then these 2 were just going to come up to threaten. I was going to push quite hard in the hope that I could take this area and then move the dragon back across in order to support the blade dancers and avatar in this area with the 2 drivers as this slot came forward. Basically, my Brian minions were initially support on the flame cannons and then you'd both through it. Until most part, that plan worked, apart from a few things. So, Sylvan Elves turn 1, you can see, yes, this is after magic and shooting. So the big thing here is, we'll get to it, no flame cannon. So what happens is I've vanguarded up my Heath Hunters and then moved them right up. So all these 3 are in range of it. And then I've moved my Centaurs up as well to be done that. Taken risks with the dragon, as I said, just to try and start threatening on this side whilst keeping the Wild Huntsmen over here. This is one that if they want to shoot them with these 2 units, they've got to come in range of this guy. So I'm definitely going to go after them next turn. The Dryad started moving up, maximum availability, but whilst also making sure that if anything goes wrong with Flame Cannon, they're not in range. The Blade Dancers come around here to cover around the hill. I want them to be able to threaten into this area by looking around, just to keep them as far back as possible, whilst not actually being able to be charged or shot by the Flame Cannon. And the Avatar of Nature has come here, and this is just a look this way. My thought process was here, I thought, I've left this gap here, and I didn't want his copters coming into it. So if they did, I wanted to be able to threaten. And then land it. In Magic, I've got a reasonable phase. I move the forest over here. I then put Oaken Throne up, and I put Oaken Throne failed, and I put Fortitude just for a 5+ onto these guys. I then didn't manage. He's obviously taking hints from Tommy Tucker, and stopped Forest Embrace on my dragon, just so his repeatable throws can get through as quickly as possible. But in shooting, I killed off the Flame Cannon, and then a few of the Crag Wardens. And as far as I was concerned, that's a huge success for me. So here we can see the dragon casting up closer. And now onto Dwarven Hold's turn 1. So first off, he's quite worried about me charging into his back line and decides to get rid of these Heath Hunters. So he's blocked them off with the Crag Wardens here, cancelled them quite well. The other part is he's brought these across the world just to keep shooting, and I know he's going to bring his Flame Cannon on this side. He has seen my Avatar of Nature with these 2, and he's kept them out of arc, but while still being able to shoot, lining up the Briar Maidens themselves. Started to move up the King's Guard on the corner over there, and also moved up his units on this side. He does end up moving these guys forward a bit in the end. This is just something afterwards. And it's something I was looking at going, because my Avatar of Nature is not that far away, and even though they're strength 5, I think I can take that risk, and maybe, just maybe, I can break them, because if I can get them down to less than 5 on their back rank, have a good Thunderstomp and attacks into them, I can potentially break the Steadfast. So that's it. This is just a close-up of his battle line and also how pretty his models are. They're really, really good. I love his spears. He's adapted them with these longer spears here, and they properly have a phalanx feel to them. It's really, really well done. And I love the Flame Cannon. It's sort of like this poking through the rock in cover, like an entrenched position. It's really, really cool. Sylvan Elves turn 2. So I Survivor's shooting. So the big one there is in his shooting, I lose most of one unit of Heath Hunters and only a couple off the other. And one of the Heath Hunters breaks with a single model and is running. I've also been taken down to only the champion left as Bridemaidens. He's gone quite hard on them, and I just couldn't pass any 4-ups. So what I've done here is I've been quite lucky in killing a flame cannon, so I've pushed quite hard. I've moved my tree father up onto the hill within easy range. So it's a 5-inch charge for the clan marksman. I'd want them to come in. I don't care. It just means potentially I break them on his turn, and then I get a free go of it. The dragon has moved up as far as possible. I thought I could charge, but actually I'm happy to take another turn. I've only taken 1 wound, as you can see there. In last turn, I got very lucky with the shooting. But I just want to get in as quickly as possible. So I've pushed up there to flame the Crag Wardens along with the Wild Huntsman, while still being able to cover this side a bit with the Wild Huntsman in case his King's Guard move up. So I'm kind of trapping them in location a bit, or I thought so. This is a better view. As you can see here, this is after Magic Phase. So I managed to get Oaken Throne. I didn't get Oaken Throne off. He got Rune of Revocation, so I managed to use Oaken Throne to stop that spell. And then what I did was I cast Forest Embrace on this guy, and then I got a really big roll with Summer's Growth on the Bridemaidens, and he let it through, and then used his Rune of Devouring. I hadn't expected this, and suddenly that puts it in different perspective. I can't reach across the battlefield and heal units in large numbers anymore. So I probably should have seen that as the big one, but that's actually really clever. In shooting, I had another good one. So you see there's 1 less bolt thrower now between the scouts. Scouts were rolling poisons this game like they were going out of fashion, and along with the Heath Hunters, I just took that another one off. So I don't need to worry about it. We're down to 3 of them and a single flame cannon. So I'm getting through this one. So in his turn, he does charge. So his clansmark come into me. I stand and shoot. I think I kill 1 maybe or nil, but I was really happy with this. I just need to get some big rolls here, and hopefully I can break his steadfast on his roll, because if I'm breaking his steadfast, he's probably running. Otherwise, he's blocked my Heath Hunters' Crag Wardens again, and is sort of deciding what to do here. He wants to move his. He does move these guys up to about a threatening position here, and it's just. But also, he's brought on his miners behind me, giving me a choice. I wasn't too bothered by this. There's no objective in this area, so my plan was to move forward as far as possible. Still with them. On this side, he's continued to advance up here with the big blocks. I haven't been able to get a Break the Spirit on them because my Bridemaidens are preoccupied. Now they're on the complete other side of the battle. But I have got these Dryads into this position here next to the forest, and I'm going to start moving them across. And I'm still quite happy that I can get my Blade Dancers across to there quicker in 2 turns than he can actually get in. So I'm going to have to start moving there. But equally, I think this was his big mistake. If he just held off there, shot me, stand and shoot, he might have plinked a few wounds off and he'd have fixed me. Because if I can break him now, I've got a rerollable charge either into his King's Guard or into his Copter, or etc. etc. So I think it's quite good. Not a great one there. In Magic, it's happened. I stopped most of it. I concentrated on the clan's marksman. I didn't want any other ones in there, like -1s to hit them. I managed to stop them, but I couldn't stop no magic onto the dragon here. So he's got to, they're going to have to suffer through this phase. But in shooting again, he either misses or fails to wound on there. And his gyrocopters, you can see now, have moved across. They tried to go into the dragon as well. I was surprised he didn't go for the Wild Huntsman. I thought I'd lose a few more of them, and just because they're strength 5 shots, just going through it. But he really wanted to stop the dragon, because otherwise it was going into his back line. But it didn't happen for him. He either missed or failed to wound, or my saves were good. So my turn 3. This is probably my mistake here. This is where I did make a mistake on the left. You can see, well, 1, my charges I think were good. So Wild Huntsman went into the Crag Wardens there, and they held. because my dragon had overrun into the Vault Thrower. You can see on this side that the Tree Father is out of combat, so it went well. I did break his Steadfast, rolled about 5 for number of thunderstorms and killed pretty much all of them. It's great having a Strength 7 thing, because even if someone's Res 5 or somehow gets to Res 5, something like a Sloth Warriors, I'm still wounding on 2s with it. He ran. I failed to chase his stunty thing, so they're still alive in quite big numbers. It's because Tree Father Engine, etc. are just infantry, so only 2d6. But I was still with the overrun able to charge, and I went into the flame cannon, and this is where I can really start taking it off and get rid of some of his back line. I've moved these units here just to surround the gyrocopters, so I can at least take one of them off. And you can see my Dryads I've turned around. That was a big mistake. I was worried about getting a charge in the rear from the miners, whilst a front charge from the Kingsguard. I think it would have gone badly for me, but actually, in hindsight, I don't think I should have done this. I wanted to take on the objective. I still had the ability to buff them up if I got in this direction with the dragon. So I think, and I could have made the Briar Maidens around to support them as well. So I did. I made the wrong move here. I should have pushed forward for the objective, because at this stage of my thinking, I still can't get the other objective, and I made that mistake here. On this side, you can start seeing my Blade Dancer moving across. So turn 4, they're going to be in there. And then these two are in a good position to be within 6 inches of the objective and threaten both these units. There's going to be Blade Dancers in a forest, always a bit interesting. It's going to be whether I can get my dragon across and run through his back line. In Magic, I got through the Rune Eradication by using Oaken Throne, but then other than that, fairly little went off. Yeah, it was a pretty poor Magic phase, but I haven't got really that much to cast either. I think I got 4 up Fortitude on the Blade Dancers just to give them a bit of cover while they're moving across, but equally not necessary. I think I do manage to get this wound off the dragon, which is quite good. So even when he pumps through this one, even if he's got 2 bolt throwers looking at him, hopefully he should easily be able to survive that. In shooting, I get this one down to like 1 wound left with all the shooting, but I didn't manage to kill it, and I do pretty much nothing, and I don't do anything to the next one. In combat, I smash the Cragwardens, and this was potentially a mistake. I turn around, but I'm giving a rear charge to one of the copters, and that was not clever. I shouldn't have done that. I should have, because I could easily mobile. This would have been a good move if I'd moved the Dryads forward just to give them some support on the next go. But I didn't do that, so I think this was a bad move in itself. And then the Dryads went through. The dragon didn't overrun into the next bolt thrower, but the Tree Father Ancient did. So the dragon is now safe, because that's going to be pretty much his whole back line gone in the following phases. So that's at the end of my turn 3. You can see I think I'm in pretty good position at this moment in time, apart from doing this side. Sorry, this is turn 4. You can see here you see the other miners have come on for the dwarfs. So this is always his plan. He's going to box me in now. It's going to give me some choices with the Wild Huntsman on this side, but I still think I'm in a pretty good position. You see the clan marksmen have rallied over in the top right, so they're going to come back in the fight. They can't take an objective, but they're still going to be annoying, and they've still got a sizable punch that sort of keeps people out of this area. So he's moved his copter, so his other copter will go into the rear of the huntsman. And I was looking at this going, yeah, I get 2 attacks each. There's potential there, but I'm going to be winning on 5s. And then he's got another one to come around here, and this is where in Magic, you see shooting after Magic, he takes off 2 of the Briar Maidens that back down to just the champion. I'm not sure about Magic what happened here, but my main thing was I wasn't that bothered about Magic here. I just didn't want it to go off on the Kingsguard on the left hand side, because I really wanted to shoot them with charge them with these wild huntsmen, but as pretty much nothing was in range, and that was the issue. In my turn 4, this is where Terry played it quite cleverly. So in last turn, he brought these forward, and it looked like, so my thought was, okay, I'll charge them, even if he runs. No, I didn't think he'd run. I was like, he doesn't want to lose this, but he did. So I charged them, and he ran, and they obviously ran off the table, and I killed them. Yeah, great, but he's now, I redirect into them, and I fail the charge, which means these guys are going to be stuck. I then stupidly charge them, and he runs off again. Now this is really clever because I have a choice now about, I just chase. Not only am I not going to be able to turn around, I'm equally moving further away from the damned objective, which is up here. So I've really screwed up there, I feel. It wasn't a clever move. It just highlights that a couple of turns ago I should have advanced quite aggressively because there was potential for a 3-inch movement unit not to be able to charge, and then now I'd be in the right position to be able to smash through and get that objective. So this was just all played appallingly on my side. Here you can see the Avatar of Nature. I go into the Clan Marksman for round 2. He's obviously reformed them into 5 wide, very sensible. So either I'm going to get lucky on a break test, or I'm going to go through them. In the end, spoiler alert, doesn't happen. I have to spend a couple of turns grinding them down, and that's the Avatar of Nature out of the game. One other charge I did here was the dragon charges the Crag Warden, so I've left this bolt thrower here. I'm not bothered about it. He's either going to miss, potentially fail to wound, so I'm not really that concerned, but I really want the dragon to get back to actually engaging this on turns 6, because even turns 5 I'm still out of range for quite a lot of spells. I then move the Heath Hunters up here and the Brahmin moves here. This is so I can start chaffing this unit turns 5 and 6 to stop them getting closer to the objective, because at the moment I'm winning with just 1 as it stands. Other than that, I move these 2 background here to shoot off the final copter. Something to note, so we didn't get a picture of it, but the copter did charge into this in his last turn, and I managed to kill it, so I got quite lucky there. In Magic here, I've managed to get 4+ Fortitude on this, and this is just to stop them trying to come in here. I tried to cast Break the Spirit. This has become his must-stop spell now, especially on this unit, because with all this terrain around here, it will just absolutely murder him. Other than that, I got Oaken thrown off. That's it. So Dwarven holds turn 4. He's pushed forward even further. Other than that, he's just preparing. He's moved them, turned them around, just to prepare for a charge from the Wild Huntsman here. And other than that, he's got his canoe. In Magic, he tries and buffs these as much as possible, and I'm pretty happy on that. All I'm trying to stop is rune revocation, because I'm not going to charge into them in turns 5. That just gives the Kingsguard away into the flank. I'm out of the forest. If there's a charging street over here, at this stage I'm thinking it's going to be him. So then in shooting, his bolt throw misses. So end of. Right, Sylvan's turn 5, so this is where it comes in. I've moved the dragon right up close to get as close as possible, but he's still not in that crucial 12-inch range for something like Stone Skin. Stone Skin is still further than 12 inches from the back of here. I've moved the Heath Hunters round, and that's just to chaff them, and the Briar Maidens up. I don't want to do this, but if I have to, I will sacrifice them to get the objective here, because I've realised at this point I'm not going to get it on the other side. I've moved the Blade Dancers back. They're still in 6 inches of the objective, but equally now he's got to take a lot of DTs through the water, through the forest, and if I can get Break the Spirit off, it just makes that charge pretty much impossible. And it just makes they're further back from the Kingsguard, and it's something like that. On this side, my Wild Huntsmen do get into the miners. I did try trying something janky, and I don't like doing this, and I was a bit disappointed in myself, but I just did a quick measure. I was like, can I do it? And then round Terry pointed out that because I would be in such a long line, I wouldn't actually be able to get around the building. He's like, yep. And I just basically went, that's it. Leave the Dryads there. They've failed. They haven't got the objective. Equally, they haven't died, but that's it. The most they can do. I couldn't even charge into the miners because I killed just about enough and I overlapped. So, yeah, that's it. That's just them. But I thought I would blow through the miners in one go with the Wild Huntsman. Not quite true. On this side, you can see my Sylvan Sentinels have moved up as well, and that's so they can be in range of the bolt thrower. I'm just going to get rid of it for points, and the Avatar of Nature is slowly getting through there. He lost a wound last turn, so he's got 5 wounds, but he's slowly getting through that clan marksman unit. I'm hoping he can kill it off. In Magic, I've still got Oaken Throne up. He does stop Break Spirit, and otherwise I just get 4+ Fortitude on the Blade Dancers. And here you can see those combats. I lose a couple. He loses the back rank, but because I'm light troops, he's still steadfast with 1 rank there. So I'll have to spend next turn doing that. And here he's still got 2 ranks. So again, he's steadfast, but he has taken another wound off this turn. So I'm down to 4 wounds. Just shows strength 5 against res 6 with a 5+ Aegis. It's just so strong. I don't need the magic to support him. He's going to kill him. In his turn, he does two charges. One is these charging into the Heath Hunters. They're dead. I did manage to use the attribute to get 1 more back on these guys, but unfortunately I should have done that with the Briar Maidens as well. He then also charges his BSB into my Dryads here. This was really clever because it bypasses my Blade Dancers. I still don't want to charge his unit because he's reformed them out of the forest. But there's a possibility if they break them, he's got 2 scoring units here now, so he could have got the objective, and that would have been quite something. As it happens, he only kills 1 of the Dryad, and I'm steadfast, and I think I put a wound on him as well. Then in my turn, what he's done is he's opened me up for this charge here. So what happens is eventually I move the Blade Dancers out of the way, but I will charge, and I'll explain how I do that, but I effectively charge here against this Runesmith. He's taken him out because he thinks I'm going into here. I'm not. There's no way I'm moving out my forest, not unless there's a dead cert charge. But I charge here and he decides to flee again, which puts my Dryads eventually sat here in the open for him to countercharge, because this combat is still locked in, so there's a potential he breaks both the Dryads and takes this objective. Yeah, so that's the end. I've lost another Wild Huntsman. I do get him down to less than 5 to break his steadfast, but he passes his check because I've killed so little. It's a bit more of a fluff fight over here, and I still can't put the Dryads in on my turn 6. Otherwise, his Kingsguard have killed everyone and reformed to look into the centre. So what I do is I charge, because I want to get rid of his Runesmith and other stuff, I take a risk. I charge my Blade Dancers into the Kingsguard, and I thought I could chaff with my Briar Maiden here into that unit there, but it turns out I can't. So this might be a mistake. But I charge my Blade Dancer in, I charge my Dragon in, just to try and get these Thunderstorms. And I think if I kill those Kingsguard, I break the Stubborn. And that means with all the combat res, I should make them run. In Magic, I get off just 4+ Fortitude on them. I don't get the Tree spell, which was really, really bad. I was a bit worried about that because now if he comes into there, I'm not going to be stubborn, and I could lose a lot of points here. Like there's 900, 800. It's about 1,700 points, including the BSB 200+. So that's a massive swing. Not as much as the objective, though. You've got to remember the objective is worth about 2,000 point swing, so it's still worth more. So it wasn't the end of the world, and I still think what he did next was the right thing. But otherwise, nothing happens in shooting apart from I kill off the bolt thrower. And as you can see here, the Avatar is no longer in combat with the clan marksman as he's killed them off. I got quite low here. In combat, I did +1 attack. And I duelled out with his Thane with my BSB, and I put a wound on him, and he did nothing to me. but it did mean the whole unit is now distracting, so that he did fairly little. He killed like 1 or 2 through the fortitude and hitting me on 5s, and then I did a load of damage. I killed about 9 of them, even with the 5+. No, he didn't. Even with the 6+ shield wall, I just went through them, and that was with the dragon rolling really poorly for his thunderstorms. So Dwarven Hulls turn 6. He's charged in to the Dryads here, and I thought, oh, yep, well done. There's potential he breaks them, so he's at least going to draw the objective, and I think this was the right move. He, as you can see here, you can already see on this is out, but his magic is severely depleted because I've killed his anvil, I've killed his runesmith, and he's just here. The only thing he's got is -1 to wound on there, so I'm going to stop that. So his magic's pretty much defunct by this point. But yeah, I was very surprised. Only 2 dryads died, and I killed that, so it was actually a put. It was he won by 1 with combat res, and I had the BSB there, so I had a rerollable 7. Yeah, I passed it. And also then in the Dryad fight at the bottom, he didn't kill enough, and again it was a push, so neither of us killed each other, but I'm still within 6 into objectives, and I won on this side. So as you can see, I've killed quite a lot of his unit, but I think I rolled poorly, he rolled poorly. I still didn't get much for Thunderstorms. He had 1 left, 1 Kingsguard left, but 1 Kingsguard is all that matters, and his unit was stubborn and passed his leadership check. So that was held there, but importantly, I've actually won the objective on this side with my 2 small units of Dryads, and no one's won it on the other side, which I thought with my big Dryad unit that would be the one I'd have to go and get. So massive success on this side. And this is it. So it ends up in 19-1. I've killed loads of his units. The big ones I didn't take were most of his characters, which are only still about 400 points left. I didn't get the 200 for the BSB or the general, and the big one of the unit Kingsguard and the big unit of spears. But other than that, I got everything else for about 3,200 points, and he only killed both my Heat Hunter units for 410. 1 ran off, and 1 I sacrificed for the Kingsguard. So it created a 16-4, and because I won the objective, it's a 19-1. So still not a 20, which is good. And there were moments where it was quite swingy. So I think he should have at least drawn the objective. In reality, I got very lucky with that last Dryad unit, and he was and I think that was fair. And there was high potential in winning when his BSB charged into my Dryads. I thought that was a good move. So this could equally have gone to a 13-7 at the end there, and I think that would have been fair. But overall, my plan, I think the plan worked really well with concentrating on one side and pushing, apart from my Dryad unit, that kind of screwed up. Getting it into his back lines and really pushing with the Avatar of Nature to put pressure on him, whilst using magic and the Blade Dancers just to screen my 2 units of Dryads, and that worked really well. And then I even managed to get my dragon back over to the other side. I'm still not certain on whether to Treefather Ancient or Druid Dragon, but the movement of 14-inch and flying has proven really quite useful. Last game, me being able to get that swarm of insects from the other side of the house, and then this time I've moved around the entire board, and yes, I know he's more vulnerable, but that fly with Druidism, because the short range, is actually quite effective, and it just means you can get into the right position to support in the right way. So I'm probably going to take that. I am taking that to TEC. I've subbed my list. It's a bit fluffy, but it's getting some reasonable results, and I like playing with it. I think I'm a big believer in the Bobo way of doing stuff. Just keep using units until you know how to use them well and play to your style. So it was a great game. The scoreline doesn't depict what should have happened. I think it should have ended a 13-7 with Terry taking the objective because I didn't do it on the other side, or at least draw it. But otherwise, both of us going to TEC, so we'll see you there. Hobby corner, as promised. This is the sign of my heath hunters. I've redone the horses, so this picture doesn't bring it out a bit with the shadow, but just brightening them up. I'm then going to do what I do with my Briar Maidens and Huntsmen. I've got get some green stuff and some fake bushes here, and then I've started the other unit as well. It's just the last units of this army that still look a bit really basic. I'm not saying these are good, but these are better than what they were. And then I will. And then I'm going to start on some trees because I really want to get a sort of wild huntsman running through the forest effect. And then on the sentinels / pathfinders, I want to put a couple of trees on their base as well, just to make it seem like they're shooting through a forest. And now we'll be ready for TC, which is coming up. I mean, lists are in, so we'll see who's going to be the first matchup. Other than that, thank you very much. I've got a game on Tuesday. I should get that battle report out before TEC, and then I'm going to do a list review of all the Sylvan Elves lists for it. It might be a bit delayed after next weekend because it's Remembrance, and that's quite important. So I won't be. I don't think I'll be publishing anything over that period, but I will be next week. Have a good time. Thank you very much. This is AAA Wargaming saying goodbye.